Wait a minute. Hold the horses. Stop the presses. So the judge who was killed in the chamber by the Kentucky sheriff may have been tied to sex scandal. Let's get into this, cave dwellers.
A judge shot to death in his chambers by his good friend, the now former sheriff. Now, new details are coming to light about what could have been going on in the background involving the judge and sex in his chambers. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. It's been nearly 3 months since Judge Kevin Mullins was shot to death in his chambers in Letcher County, Kentucky. And now, recordings that have surfaced that include allegations about sex in the courthouse are giving us some new insight into what may have been going on in Letcher County. The shooting of Judge Mullins shocked anyone who heard about it. You just don't hear about something like this happening. And if you do, the shooter certainly isn't the county sheriff. The Kentucky State Police say that's exactly what happened back on September 19th. Longtime friends, Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines and Judge Kevin Mullins went to lunch together, and within a matter of hours, Stines was recorded on video shooting Mullins. At a preliminary hearing, a detective described what happened leading up to the shooting.
Are you aware of anything so far in your investigation that would tell us there was any issues at lunch between Judge Mullins and Sheriff Stines?
No.
Okay. But someone on behalf of the KSP has spoken to those witnesses?
Yes, they've all.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. I got the full thing on my channel. You can go back, but let's just listen to this real quick so you can catch up.
I've been interviewed.
And there was nothing unusual that had arisen during that luncheon?
I was told that the judge made a statement to Mickey about, do we need to meet private in my chambers? That's all I was told.
Do you know the context of what the conversation was before that they would need to discuss in chambers?
I do not.
And have you had an opportunity to review the video
I have.
of the prior incident?
I have.
And can you describe for us what happened immediately prior to the clip that we saw?
Sheriff Stines uses his telephone to make some phone calls. He then borrows Judge Mullins' cell phone and appears to make a call on that. And that led to what you just saw.
Okay.
That led to then Sheriff Stines pulling his gun and shooting Judge Mullins. The entire thing was caught on video, which we froze.
Crazy. That's shit. Crazy as a human, like as a mortal man, to see somebody like final moments. But this is it right here. Sorry about that stopping. I had to go make sure the stove was off, but look at this. It's crazy.
Frozen and not shown you the actual shooting. It's just so horrifically violent. And after that, Sheriff Stines was taken into custody and charged with murder. In the background of all of this, a federal civil lawsuit filed by a woman named Sabrina Adkins. She was arrested in 2021 for a drug charge. Adkins is now suing the Letcher County Sheriff's Office over a former deputy named Ben Fields having sex with her while she was on home incarceration. Adkins claimed in her suit that she couldn't afford to pay for the ankle bracelet and was afraid to go back to jail. So Fields, who was supervising her on home incarceration, offered to help her in exchange for sex. Adkins said she and Fields had sex in Judge Mullins' chambers 6 times.
Times? That means he felt comfortable 6 times? Or he knew the judge's schedule. That's crazy.
Fields eventually was charged criminally and served 6 months in jail. He's supposed to be on probation for 6.5 years. So what does this have to do with Sheriff Stines and Judge Mullins? Well, Stines had been deposed in Adkins' lawsuit in the days before shooting Mullins. He was the boss, after all. Did that play a role? We really don't know. In 2022, investigators with the Kentucky Attorney General's office interviewed Sabrina Adkins, and she claimed to have seen tapes of Judge Mullins having sex with a woman in his chambers.
But he does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls, sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, and you know.
Oh, did the deputy get like, after the 4th time, just he got kind of lackadaisical, and that mean he probably was recording this too, right? Like the judge chamber has videotaping. It's usually not rolling unless the judge is in session or something, or they bring all parties back there. But I guess it was.
them having sex with girls for their bail to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
Now, you saw the video.
Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean, you.
I mean, I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know.
Was it an underage girl? Whether come on, she ain't that crazy.
I don't know a lot of people from over
Where was it at?
in his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was a judge in chambers?
Yeah.
And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
But you don't know who the girl was.
My bad. If you think that that deputy got a light sentence of 6 months and then 6 years of probation, hey, we may be seeing why.
We obtained that audio in a records request from the Attorney General's office. News Nation was actually the first to report on that audio.
But you just saw the judge.
Right.
Do you know for sure that was the judge?
Yes.
I mean, how do you know that's the judge?
I've been in front of him. His face is pretty clear on there.
Sabrina Adkins talked in the interview about why she filed the lawsuit.
Like I said, my only goal was to make sure this don't happen to somebody else. I struggle with it real bad.
I want to tell you about Upside. It's a free app that gets you cash back on things like gas and restaurants.
Upside.
This is real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app of Judge Mullins
Let the ad play for a second since we are using their content. Thank you.
and other higher-ups having sex with women in the judge's chambers.
I was present when she told that to the Attorney General investigator. The chronology was we filed the lawsuit on behalf of Sabrina and another woman who we claim was sexually extorted for favors. That other woman, by the way, is now deceased.
Oh,
And after that lawsuit got filed, Sabrina sat down with a representative of the Kentucky Attorney General office and gave a 4 or 5 hour interview that was recorded. And in that interview, she said what you just mentioned. It's not directly involved in our civil suit, but I will say that, we filed a sweeping lawsuit against the bailiff, I guess, / ankle bracelet operator. And we allege that the county knew or should have known, specifically Sheriff Stines, about the sexual extortion. And, 2 years later, everything Sabrina said has turned out to be true.
so what if he didn't know? What if you had a good sheriff in a small town where some things was just going on, and this good sheriff, found out that his deputy and the judge were in cahoots and these women, and he felt like he didn't protect them, and then this lawsuit come out the civil suit come out saying that he should have known that he neglected his duties and training the deputy, and he may have snapped for a second and went pop out. Jurors love that. They could easy in America to feel like, yo, you what? They did what? You see the CEO, the United Healthcare CEO that got crazy, that got murdered. But that kid is people like, hey, you know what? The health industry, the insurance industry is like, of course somebody was going to do this. Like, but the news ain't even saying that. Like, of course, like we keep putting, like, oh, these companies do it. The companies, well, these companies have faces behind it. These companies have human beings make a decision. They're not AI companies that just make a decision for the sake of the company and doing whatever. And then let's say if the sheriff wife or daughter, which I still don't get, because they said the daughter, they had communication or text messages from the judge and the sheriff's daughter, underage daughter. Why would that be? But during the hearing, the detective didn't look that far yet. But that's still like, how does that wrap around into this?
How do we know that? After we filed the civil lawsuit, the Attorney General's office moved in, indicted Fields, and significantly, if you go through Fields, he was the bailiff, ankle bracelet operator. He pled guilty to everything we said, and there were some pretty sweeping allegations. And he is a convicted felon, sex offender.
Damn.
And, in terms of Sabrina, I know she's under the spotlight. I'm not objective, I'm her lawyer, but I think she's been pretty courageous. And probably one of the most important things in terms of the criminal justice system, I've only been a criminal defense lawyer in Appalachia for 43 years. What's changed dramatically is the number of women who are in drug court ankle bracelet situations. They are so vulnerable to sexual extortion. We don't think what happened to Sabrina and the other 3 women we know feels extorted. We don't think that's an isolated incident. And we're frankly, the reason I'm talking to you today, we're hoping that the national publicity would be that if you're running an ankle bracelet program, a drug court program, which in Appalachia, half the participants are women, how easily extortable these women are for sexual extortion, which is...
I think I just seen a whole movie about that. It was this black like Marine guy. He went to a small town. I forgot the name of it. And it was this woman who was being extorted by the sheriff in the small town for that thing. He could do whatever. Like he could plant drugs on her. He could do whatever. She was so afraid about going back to jail. But who would believe her, right? You already convict and you're on this ankle monitor, and this is the sheriff or the judge. Who gonna believe that, right? Even if they think it like, damn, he probably did. You ain't got most time. You ain't got no proof. But they doing it in the judge's chambers, blatant.
Clearly, what happened in our case.
Sabrina mentions about in the interview with the AG's office. You were there. I don't have to tell you what she said, but she says clearly that Judge Mullins was having sex with girls, and she could have just meant women. We don't know, but she saw what she saw on the videotapes. Has any investigation been done, to your knowledge, by the AG's office into Judge Mullins? She said other higher ups too. So was there ever any type of further investigation into what was going on in that courthouse?
Really not.
I obviously don't know. I don't think they would confide in me. What I do know is, since then, unbelievably, the sheriff shot the judge. And I do know the lawyer for the sheriff is a very competent lawyer, basically said our lawsuit was, I forgot his exact words, were front and center of their defense.
They're investigating it. That's what he told me. They're going to look into every aspect of that.
He made some comment after the arraignment. This is the criminal defense lawyer, Mr. Bartley. They asked him, was his case related to my civil lawsuit, the allegations? And he basically said yes. And I know right after that, my phone was ringing. I've wondered from day one. I mean, we took the sheriff's deposition in the room I'm sitting in on a Monday. 3 days later, we know he shot and killed the judge.
It was 3 days later.
Related? I don't know.
It was only 3 days later after his deposition. So did he learn something? Did he ask him a question? He put 2 and 2 together? Or did the sheriff like, yo, they did it. I knew. I'm sorry. And I just took everybody out. I'm the last one standing. Put me in jail, but I took them out. They're no longer a danger. Yo, there's so many ways. This is like a movie, bro. There's so many ways. This is going to be a movie one day. Netflix.
As a result of that, what investigations are going on, not going on, I don't know. The only good that's come out of this unbelievable tragedy is there has been interest in making sure that the ladies like Sabrina, who I think has been courageous, and exposing how vulnerable these women are. What role Judge Mullins had or didn't have, we don't know. What Sabrina said during the interview, and like I said, she says in the interview that she saw a video, as I understand it, that another woman apparently clandestinely videoed the judge acting inappropriately. And the way she saw the video was the girl's boyfriend showed it to her. We don't have the video. We have Sabrina's.
The girl's boyfriend showed it to her. Who the hell is her boyfriend in the town?
Word for what she saw. But all I'll say is, 2 years in, everything Sabrina sat in my office and told me 2 years ago is proven to be true.
What happened? Let's go back to the deposition of Sheriff Stines.
Yeah.
What happened during that deposition? I mean, was there anything that took place that was it really contentious? I mean, because he was being sued as part of this suit for not properly supervising and training Ben Fields.
It was an unusual deposition in the sense that I filed other civil rights suits against public officials. Usually they're combative, they're talkative. The deposition was actually consistent with the very odd initial appearance when Stines appeared the first time in court. At that point, District Judge Wilhoit asked him perfunctory questions, and he either hesitated, didn't answer. It was he had an odd demeanor. The deposition was tense. I mean, this was not a good subject. I mean, the lawsuit we filed was sweeping. We have really said, and I've used the word brothel, that they turned that courthouse into something like a brothel. I mean, Sabrina's allegations are more than just that she was forced to have sex in the judge's chambers. The one moment I won't forget in all of this is when Sabrina was interviewed by the Attorney General office. This is before Fields got indicted. She described how they pimped her out, that she was told that she could get somehow preferential treatment in the courthouse by having sex with this elderly gentleman. And she did it. She was being extorted, which goes to the point we've been trying to make, is how vulnerable these women are in drug court and ankle bracelet situations. We've seen, and 42 years ago, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, you hardly ever saw a woman indicted. If you go to a criminal court today in Appalachia, most of the criminal defendants are women, drug charges. I think I've got maybe 14 or 15 pending now. And they are so subject to what happened to Sabrina. We don't think what happened to her is an isolated incident.
Keep saying that. I mean, they on their ass. I mean, if they're in charge, they got a program out there in Kentucky at least, or probably surrounding states too. But in Kentucky, if you don't think that you in charge of some women or PO or something like that, yeah, they coming to look at your files. They coming to do interviews on all those women to see if they say something about your ass and throw you in jail.
Women who are in drug court or ankle bracelet, the way the game is played, they know that a simple phone call to the judge will say, hey, she violated an ankle bracelet condition or she violated a drug court condition. They're back in jail. And they know they may not be believed if they say this is not true. So in a way, what happened to Sabrina, while in some ways is surprising, it was almost foreseeable in that, you know, someone like Fields would take advantage of her. And in his case, took advantage to the extreme where I still can't get over the fact that he pimped her out and she felt compelled to comply. All the alternative is back in jail.
Back in jail.
You mentioned earlier something about her possibly having sex with an elderly gentleman. You know, that was something that was brought up. Who is that elderly gentleman?
I don't want to say his name.
Damn.
Was it Judge Mullins? I mean, he doesn't seem elderly.
It was not Judge Mullins. It's in the lawsuit we filed.
How they about to do that research?
Frankly, acknowledged during his eventual guilty plea. And by the way, it was a guilty plea.
Yes,
this was
he
not
admitted
a no
to it fully. Yes.
Yeah, I spoke to the Attorney General who prosecuted the case, Barbara Whaley, who's been a prosecutor here in Kentucky for 40 years. And I asked her, what was Mullins' defense? I take that back. I misspoke. What was Fields' defense? And she flat out said, Ned, he had no defense. Pled guilty. He confessed.
I mean, he might have went down with the team. Why wouldn't you confess? Come on, all those charges, pimping her out, doing that with the in the guise of a peace officer, and you having this control and this authority over her and other women, and you doing this, and you only get 6 months. Who can't take that? It's you're gonna get a pat on the wrist. Don't worry about it. You know, it's a small town. You're gonna be a offender. If this didn't happen, if the sheriff never shoot the judge, we wouldn't know how this guy looked. There'll be certain people, but if he would have moved out of that town and to another one or somewhere else, nobody would have knew who he was. Now they do because of this. His 6 months was a piece of cake until this happened.
And yeah, he was the bailiff, well-known, well-liked figure in Letcher County. And as best I can tell, he's well-respected, and these were shocking allegations. But on the other hand, you know, when the Attorney General's office, I don't know if we contacted them. I think they contacted us after we filed the lawsuit. I could be wrong. When we showed them the text messages from Fields to Sabrina, it left no doubt that something.
And there's more text messages between the judge. There's all these text messages. They don't think, these are people that don't think they're going to get caught. Or at least if you who you gonna get caught by? If I'm the bailiff, it's not like, oh, I got to worry about the judge walking in. If I got the judge, then what? And if you the judge and the law enforcement and the judge, then you probably got the IT guy, whoever got control of the video, because the video's circulating. Not even worry about it. Like, he wasn't worried about nothing.
It was something sexual was clearly going on, and it obviously can't be
Oh, and when I said, hold on,
consented to. She's basically a de facto prisoner.
yeah, she's a de facto prisoner. So what he said is what I'm about to touch on is this is like, it's like if you're in prison, you can't, if you're a male, inmate or female, you can't have sex with the guards there. It's almost like they can't. You're in a power position. Could they really say no? They're almost afraid if you say no, then you might give revenge on them. So he can't. So it's like if the old man, if he was part of the justice system or part of that law enforcement, shouldn't he be charged with rape? Almost raping of government property, basically. Like, that's what he did. Like, that should be years right there based off the rape of basically a de facto prisoner. 6 months? That's crazy. Like, that's what you get for, like, stealing out a Target or something repeatedly. Like, 6 months probation. Don't do it again.
When you say that they were running a brothel out of the courthouse, I mean, how deep does this go, or how high up does it go? Because we have an allegation by Sabrina that the judge was having sex in his chambers with women or girls or whom, however she put it. And then Sabrina is having sex because she feels coerced and compelled to do so by Ben Fields. So was everybody, I mean, were a lot of judges or other judges in the courthouse having sex with detainees in exchange for preferential treatment in their court cases? I mean, how widespread was this, and was Mickey Stines potentially getting ready to blow the whistle on it?
We don't know. What we do know is, no doubt, Fields has acknowledged
Judge Stines?
sex with 3 women. One of the women is not in our lawsuit. The other woman has since died. So that's 3. We know from Sabrina's statement and Fields' guilty plea that he pimped her out. So we're up to 4. And then we have Sabrina saying she does not have the videotape, that she saw a videotape of Mullins acting inappropriately. That's about as far as I can say. Is that equivalent to them running a brothel out of the courthouse? Well, they were having sex at least twice in the judge's chambers. And according to Sabrina, the pimping was to basically to satisfy the bailiff, who apparently had a lot of influence in that courthouse.
So that's the bailiff brought the elderly guy, and then the one girl that was in there with the judge, the boyfriend of that girl had a video of it. Like, they were into some Voyager stuff, some Diddy.
After the lawsuit was a sweeping lawsuit, but I'm satisfied 2 years later that everything Sabrina has said is proven to be true. You just need to review the Fields guilty plea, the felony guilty plea.
What comes next with Sabrina's lawsuit?
Well, it's proceeding. It was put on hold because of these extraordinary circumstances. It's proceeding. It's a civil lawsuit, and in fairness to the defendants, and in fairness to Stines, he denied liability during the deposition. He said he didn't know. And they've denied liability. It's a civil lawsuit.
It might be a what do you call it? Howdy doody type, like like meathead that didn't know nothing. Look how he just glass eye, just like, that's how I'd be looking at the camera. Like, but I don't look like there's a difference.
We may do well, we may not do well.
Well, we will keep an eye on it for sure, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not all of this converges within the murder case, because there are a lot of questions still left unanswered.
Definitely a lot of questions on this. Did he do it because he was part of it and he was going to blow this whole thing up? Did he not know and then became aware of it and said, damn, I'm the sheriff of this town. It's my duty to protect these people and do it? Was his daughter involved with the text message that she was sending his underage girls to the judge? That is crazy. Who was the boyfriend that saw this, is he still alive? Does he still have that video circulating? This is a federal crime now. This is FBI need to get involved. Porn and she kept saying girls. How old did the girl look? Did she look underage? Then they're talking about 3 different girls said that one sheriff did it. And then he had her do the elderly man. Did he have the other girls do the elderly man? Was there different men in the town? She said higher ups. Come on, this got to go far. We'll be watching this on Lifetime in 10 years. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. This shit is getting crazy. Let me know if you got anything. I'm definitely probably going to look up that deputy's case so I can go back and look at it, written word, and see what is going on there, because that has to be. He just took the charges like, yo, let me take it. But wouldn't you take it if you committed a murder or something like this and you're part of a gang and you know that the judge is probably part of this, like at least the courthouse, so it's probably more than one judge. He probably shared the chambers or had different chambers. They would have noticed stuff going in and out. Come on. Yo, why that deputy keep going in the judge ain't even here? Why he keep going in there with the women? Hold on. Why the bailiff in there? Who knows? Or maybe they share the desk, like each judge and their bailiff share the section or something. I don't know how it is. But let me know if y'all have anything. I really think that a lot more is going to come out of this. Like he said, the defense attorney is not crazy. So he put up a not guilty type shit. Like, they ready to come out and say, yo, listen, this what happened. He snapped. If they throw his daughter in here, if he found out about this sex ring and he's the sheriff and all these women and he ain't protect them, and then he found out his wife or his daughter was part of this, oh my God, this man might get off. He might get off. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers.